Welcome to the Weir Pod. I'm Amy Shields and I'm a board member for Weir. Each week we bring to you the stories behind the incredible people who make up the estate agency community across all genders. And this week is no different. We couldn't do this without the support of our fantastic sponsors, Digital Sparks. Pop over to their Instagram to check out the work they're doing for lots of agents in the sector. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Weir Pod. We are delighted to welcome Hannah Cooper, Group HR Director at LRG. Hannah is at the forefront of driving change within her organisation through LRG's Empower Her programme. This initiative focuses on mentoring women and hosting quarterly events that address key topics impacting women, such as imposter syndrome, gender bias, and women's health. Hannah believes that women in estate agency provides a vital platform for making a positive change around equal opportunities and treatment of women in the sector and beyond. We'll be discussing LRG's efforts and exploring how we can all work together to create an even greater impact. So Hannah, I'm especially delighted to be having you here on the podcast today for personal reasons. So having spent over 12 years at Romans, obviously it holds a very special place in my heart. So let's get straight into it and understand a little bit more about Hannah and how you landed up in the property world and also at LRG.
Perfect. Thank you. So I am, as you said, Hannah Cooper, the HR Director at LRG. I have been with LRG, I think it's over 12 years now. So I started in the Leaders brand. So when I started, it was 750 employees. I started as a HR advisor and obviously been part of that journey. So we had the merger in 2016. And then in 2019, I was promoted into HR Director for the LRG group. And from there, we've gone from strength to strength as a business and grown. So we are at 3,800 employees now, which obviously from a HR point of view, people are my responsibility.
That's a challenge.
It's a challenge. There's a lot of people. But I think because I've probably been part of that growth, it doesn't feel like we've got that many staff now because we've been on a nice journey with it. And I've been able to be part of that journey, which has been brilliant. I think one of the things I like to always talk about is when I got the promotion as HR Director, it was the year I think I turned 30. So I was the youngest female individual to take on a senior role like that. And actually I think it's, I got that because I earned it. It wasn't because of my age. It wasn't because of my gender. I earned it. But I think it's great to say I did it at that age.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm probably really proud of.
Absolutely.
And actually it's a great message to portray to our staff and women in our industry that, age shouldn't be a barrier and your gender shouldn't either. And you can push yourself and be focused with where you want to get to and you can do it.
Absolutely.
So I like to kind of use it as a bit of an example.
So what appealed to you about working for Leaders back in the day before sort of the LRG merger? What was it that was like, oh, I'll go and work in HR and property?
So do you know what? I did take quite a change as well. So before that, I worked for a biotechnology company. Everyone I worked with had PhDs, doctors, it was really highly qualified industry. And that was brilliant. It was great to do, a really different sector. We had some changes in that business and then I obviously joined Leaders, which is quite a different sector change.
Yep.
And it was quite extreme going from one to the other. But do you know what? I like a challenge, and even to this day, I still like a challenge, and the industry gives you that. I know we've had conversations around you have to be really resilient for our industry. But if you enjoy that, you can really thrive in it. And do you know what? Every day is different. And I think when I started with Leaders, it was like that. Every day was different. It's still like it today. Yeah. Every day is different, which is absolutely what keeps people engaged, I think.
What's the main aspect of HR that you enjoy? So I always see as HR as, I used to have to go to HR when I was naughty. Yeah. So I see HR as the I've been naughty department. Yeah. What is it you love about HR? What gets you out of bed that morning? What do you love about kind of
A bit.
doing your role?
I think because I've progressed within HR, I've been able to experience different parts of the job. So when I was an advisor and I'd work on cases, the naughty cases, as you'd say, I really enjoyed that. You were like in a detective mode. You were trying to get to the bottom of it and get the right solution and get to the right place that ultimately, you know, everyone treated fairly in those situations. So I loved that when I was in those roles. My roles changed. And so I would love now and again, I'm like, oh, I really miss doing those little things. But my role now, I really enjoy getting to do things like empower her and being able to, I'm more of a voice, I guess, now, and a voice to make change and real positive changes. So empower her allows us to do that. But it's things like getting out into our branches. I really enjoy that because you can just sit down sometimes and talk to staff and go, what should we do better? Like what are we doing well? And actually, I then have the ability to drive those changes. And I think that's what I enjoy in my role now. But
I
I've seen
love the fact that you get back down on the road and kind of like back to the offices.
They sent me on branch, like they get me out. I've had to do
amazing.
like, oh, Hannah, can you go and find us some more landlords and do some search? I'm like, yep. Hey, great, I'll get some work done. But I love that the staff feel comfortable that if we get into the branch, it's either sometimes they just might want to chat, they might want to just leave us to it sometimes, but sometimes they're like, do you want to go see a property? Do you want to come out with us? I'm like, yes, I'd love to.
Do they get scared when you walk in the office?
No, we tell them we're coming. We're going because we, as an exec team, we're very big on making sure we get out in to see our staff, and so we publicise that we're coming out and about and where we're going to be in the month. So you know, I do really enjoy doing that. It's good fun.
Good. So let's talk empower her.
Yes.
So we found out obviously that you had a women's group within LRG, and we were super excited that one of the big national corporates was setting this up, and you know, amazing.
Yeah.
So talk about kind of the inspiration and why LRG have done this, and then also kind of the aims behind it and what you really want to achieve.
Yeah, I think, look, it's progressed massively. If we think about just our industry or just the world of employment, women's roles, we have far more opportunities now and it's changing, and there has been such change, but we're not there yet. We're not in equality. So, and I think programs like Empower Her allow us just to challenge and educate on some of those differences. And I think that's what comes out of a lot of our sessions is, oh, I didn't realise you still experience that and that's how you feel. And it's things like, for example, safety. You know, women, we would text, if we went on a night out, I'd go text you when you get home. Does a man do that to these male friends? Probably not. And I think that's that difference is there are still differences in the world that women make us slightly more vulnerable sometimes. And actually, look, if we look at gender pay gap, we're not paid equally yet, are we? So when that happens, we should also...
We'll nearly be there.
Yeah, we're nearly there. Yeah, we are nearly there.
Do you think we're nearly there?
I think I think we are going in the right direction, which is good. It would be far worse if we were looking at going, oh God, we're going in the other direction. But we are going in the right direction. And I think what you have to accept, and I probably learnt this over the years in my role, is you don't get change overnight with anything. It takes a progressive journey. You've got to make little bits of real positive changes to ultimately get to where you want to. I think if you force changes through, you'll probably get more resistance. And actually, is it going to be as successful? So yeah, I think progressive change, and it is going in that right direction.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I'd love it to be tomorrow that we could go, oh, we're all treated equally and we're equally paid. But it will get there. It will get there.
And what's the percentage of male versus female now at LRG? Because it's more female, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we are 63% female as a business. Mm-hmm. So and I think that's when we merged, that's when we saw probably the shift in that balance, because leaders was typically more women, because it was more of a lettings business. Yeah. So we did see that shift then. But yeah, we are still at 63% women. And even at our senior manager, you know, our exec team, out of the 12 of us, there's 4 women. So we're not at 50-50 yet, but we're not far off of it. It's better than like
large corporates. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
So there are 4 of us out of the 12, and so again, that's all gone in the right direction. Yeah. And actually, it's us 4 women on the exec team that have driven Empower Her. Okay. So, but with the support of our male colleagues.
I'm going to go back to one of the points you made about safety. So you said before when we were talking that you had Susie Lamplugh Trust at one of your sessions, and we had them at our first conference. What would you, for people listening, obviously it's one of the challenges that I'm sure a lot of the female staff come to you about, the kind of safety of the roles and doing, you know, especially in the winter when you've got a viewing at, you know, 7, 8 o'clock at night. What have you implemented at LRG? So let's give the audience some sort of takeaways. What do LRG now when it comes to the safety of the female staff?
Yeah, so we do use apps where you can check in, and you've got that safety feature where you can double tap it. One of the things that came out of our session last week is around refreshing our safety phrase, I guess you call it. So we've probably, as part of our own progression journey, and we've brought a lot of bigger businesses, we've all had our own little ones, but actually have we got an LRG one now? And so if you called up one brand, they would probably use a different one and be like, what are you on about? So I think that's one of our actions that's come out, is to kind of create that safe phrase that if it's needed, it could be used, that is universal across LRG, because we've got lots of different ones. Right. But I think the main thing that came out of the session with Susie Lamplugh's Trust is the bystander piece. So I think we probably witness things a lot. Men and women witness stuff happening to others. And it isn't just about standing back. I think it's that intervening bit. And it could be as simple as going up to the individual that's doing it to someone and just going, oh, I'm really sorry, could you help me with directions to here? Or, oh, sorry, I tripped. And you've stopped that interaction and you've helped. And I think little things like that, that really came out for me, where I was like, oh, you probably do see things. And we don't necessarily do something.
Don't call it out.
Yeah. So I found that was really good piece that they ran, was this bystander training.
I love that.
It was really good.
Excellent. Give me an example of just a couple of other sort of sessions that you've done, sort of other than the sort of safety. What other sort of challenges generally are kind of out in your program? So
the session before we did on women's health. So we talked about the journey women have to go through. And I shared my journey around childbirth and pregnancy and the realities of that, and then juggling working full time when you've got
at a senior level as well.
Yeah. And I think, again, you have to do it support with you. I have a husband that's very supportive. You know, he has a big role as well, but we are very supportive of each other. And I think we're equal. So that definitely helps. But one of the things we did cover in that session was menopause, which actually, when you sit there and look at, every woman's going to experience menopause. Yeah. And yet, are we doing enough probably as employers on it? Are we educating enough? And that was, for us, that was the start of that journey, to educate even more on it.
Right.
And we will build it into kind of our management training now. But I think that's the key thing with menopause, is it's not you don't choose it. It's going to happen to all of us at some point.
Annoyingly so.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh gosh, apart from the fact that we sit and go, I don't want to. But it's going to. And I think as employers, we've just got to be more educated probably around that and the realities of the impacts. But I think the thing for me of Empower Her is, even if we have one person come out of one of our sessions and they make a change, that for us means we've impacted someone and improved their life potentially.
And their role within the workplace, because that's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, happiness is...
Exactly.
If you're happy in your role, as we know,
yes,
it, absolutely equals happy customers, and they're not going to go anywhere.
Yes, exactly.
Which is great.
Exactly. Okay. So that was a really good session, I think, actually. And again, we had Kate Muir come in for that, who worked with Davina on the menopause program. So she was brilliant again. And I think that's the key thing we've done with Empower, is bring in some of the experts as well that are out there, because actually sometimes it's a bit like when you're at school, isn't it? If it's someone else, certainly you listen to them far more than your teacher telling you.
Absolutely.
And that does seem to work even with me. When I've sat in the sessions and I've taken loads from them and gone, oh, I need to do that and I need to sort that out. And, the financially fierce one we had the other week, we had Bola Soul come, and she was incredible. And what she kind of got me thinking was like, I'd never even thought about that. Like, do I a power of attorney for while you're alive? And I was like, I don't even have that. Why do I need this? But I think that's the sort of things around just sharing and educating that empowers our women.
The financial security is really interesting. Setting up, let's say, a power of attorney, your will. As soon as you move out of home, own a property, you should have a will. And it's just amazing how many of my friends I talk to, and they're in their 40s and they don't have.
Yeah. I know. It's and it's obviously even more so you'll probably feel, but you just honestly, it's incredible. Like I don't have a will, and I think I've got a child, I've got property, I've got so many things. The reason I should have a will. So that was definitely my action.
Do you think that education should come from the employer? It's almost like you have now a responsibility to help your employees and your staff with these things. And I bet it's the same, for the male employees. It'd be fascinating. I bet they don't have wills and
no, exactly. And I think that's what we found with Empower. It's great to empower our women, but there are absolutely parts of it that should apply to all within our business, which is why we're probably picking out bits and putting it into our management training as well now. But yeah, I agree that I don't think it's the employer's responsibility, but where else are we given that education? We don't get it at school.
It's not a responsibility, but it's almost like it's a life education almost piece, isn't it? Sort of,
But it's interesting. I'm reading Bola Sol's book, and she, within the start of it, talks about how women don't talk about money together. It's just something women don't really do or haven't done.
Yeah.
And so you don't get it from your peer group, that conversation. Well, where are you going to get that conversation going? And we should talk about it.
Yeah.
And we should be financially protecting ourselves. And I think that's what the platform's allowed of Empower Her, is to have those conversations, because yes, I think even she says, women don't naturally talk about it, which is true. If you think back, even with friends, you think, actually, when do I sit down and chat money with my friends?
You don't really talk mortgages and wills.
No, we don't.
Absolutely not over a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the Empower programme, we spoke before, and you mentioned that you get male attendees as well from the executive team, which is fantastic. And we obviously encourage men to come to our conference, which is great. How do you encourage the men to participate and contribute? How do you
encourage them, which is very good. We're very lucky. Our male exec colleagues, when we came up with the idea of Empower Her, we obviously brought it to our exec meeting and said, we'd like to do this. What do you all think? They were obviously fully on board and fully supportive straight away. So that was great. And actually then we said, we would like you to come. At no point did any of them hesitate. They have all been so supportive of it. And I think what comes out of it is every time we have male colleagues attend the Empower Her session, whatever the topic, they always turn around to us and go, I didn't realise that's how you felt. I didn't realise you experienced that.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a real educational piece for them.
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think unless if we didn't have Empower Her, or we didn't have these conversations, they would still be none the wiser.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't know. So it's about helping all sides and just getting these conversations out there. But yeah, it definitely is a key takeaway. A lot of our male colleagues have been like, I didn't realise, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because obviously being such a huge company, you've got a real age spectrum as well. So actually dealing with someone who's entering their career at 18, 19, 20 versus someone who, is in their 40s or 50s, about to start going through the menopause or something. Actually for our male colleagues to understand the differences between the ages as well, because my goodness, I was so different when I started at Romans to how I am now, and I was definitely in the naughty room quite a lot. So actually giving them the techniques to work better.
Yeah,
the female colleagues.
I agree. And I think that is the challenge for every employer, not just even our industry, that we have a demographic of staff now which spans so many generations, and so it becomes a challenge on how do you make sure you're inclusive for all and make sure it works for all. But I think what you should do is take the best bits from each generation. I think we talked about working hours and how that's changed in our industry and that work-life balance. But that's because probably other generations have come through and kind of challenged, gone, I'm not working for 60, 70 hours. Like, I wouldn't have ever done that. And I think because that's been challenged, actually all generations are probably benefiting from a better work-life balance now. But yeah, I couldn't imagine our industry going back to some of those silly hours. I just couldn't. And I think we're very good at balancing now and getting more from life than just work.
It's interesting, as we said this as well before, how I actually think working those hours, the crazy hours, 14 days straight, still 8 till 8, really built up my resilience and kind of made me who I am in my career, so there's kind of like, not rules, but they were just, you went above and beyond to get that sale. You were doing that second viewing at 8 o'clock at night because you wanted the offer that following morning. Do you still have some of the sort of, I suppose, old school staff that are a bit like that, and then the younger generation? Is there sort of a conflict between the two sort of the generations?
We've probably done a lot around our investment in our managers, so we do probably educate a lot more on that balance. But to be honest, I wouldn't say we have, and I don't know if it's just how culturally we've built up LRG to where it is, but you know, for us, we've changed our working hours several times by reducing them. And at no point has there been, you know, that's been agreed at the top and fed down. So yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I'd say it's
tough.
not,
but I still have friends in the sort of the Romans group, and I know there's still that hunger, that fight, that passion is so still there. Romans
do want the passion and the fight.
Exactly.
You just don't need to do 80 hours to do it.
No.
And I think that's the change, isn't it? Like, I'm very much like this with my team. Is we're all adults here. We know what the end goal is. We know where we need to get to. We know what we need to deliver on. Let's just get it done. And then you give and take on both sides. You know, I've got lots of people on my team that've got kids and other out of work commitments, and there's that flexibility there. But I know they'll give it back, and I think that's what's really important in the workplace, is that you both give and take a little bit from each other.
Absolutely.
And that's what then makes it work. And I think we've really tried to push that more so within LRG. Now, I'm very much talking about my team, but I know there are others that lead teams that operate very similarly as well. So, I think it's important to run teams like that now.
So, WEA has an aim that they want to make a change, obviously, in the property sector. How would you sort of, and LRG clearly are very aligned with that, with the Empower Her programme, but what do you think are the sort of significant areas of change that are needed to help us make this change together?
I think we just got to keep shouting the message, got to keep talking about it. And I think if you keep talking about it, even though you might get the haters, and I'm sure you guys experience it, you will always get people that go, oh, why don't you do just a programme for men? It's like, when there's equality, or maybe when it turns the other way, maybe we will. But
there is that inclusivity that you have, that male colleagues are able to join, attend.
Absolutely.
Same with us with the conference. It's interesting because you want to provide that safe space for women and that support.
Balance, agree.
But you want to be inclusive, and have the men and the supporters kind of contribute.
I agree. And it's that hard balance, isn't it? And you probably experience it with the conferences, that you want that safe space for women and you want to be able to be really open and share your stories. But at the same time, you want the allyship to be built and to have men within those sessions as well. So I think we do have that mix, and I know you guys do as well. And I think that's really important that we probably keep doing that. But I think the main thing for change here is that we all probably work together. And I think that's that piece around women supporting women piece. Like, we should support each other and we should work together to make some real positive change. And I think that's where, what we do and what you guys do can really help. But I think let's just keep banging the drum, shouting the message.
And that's interesting. We're talking about sort of the approaches and collaboration and how can we kind of work together more to keep banging the drum, that look, we're here, we're not going anywhere, and we want to be on the board, and support women that want to be progressing their careers and getting up to board level and director level, how supporting them do that. What else do you think, collaboration wise, there is that, we can do? There are lots of now the large estate agencies in the country, they've got, women's groups set up internally. What else can be done? What other collaborations do you think can really help kind of accelerate this positive change?
I think we've probably got our own slight angle and take on how we do it, potentially. So maybe there's learning. So we, for example, are very much on the approach of educate, make change. So we did a session on gender biases. So it's very much around talking about it, understanding it, and then how do you deal with situations as well. So we talked a bit about mansplaining, man-interrupting, keep hitting, like all those pieces. But it was like, this is what you could experience. Some of us may have probably already experienced it. But how do you deal with it when it happens again? And I think that's the approach we've tried to take, is around making change. And I bet we've all got different approaches of how we've kind of tackled this. But I guess the piece we could do is all work together and go, what worked well for us? What worked well for you? What worked well for you? You bring that together, and that's a real superpower probably, because you've got all the good bits from all of them to kind of go, wow.
It's like we don't need one big conference all together.
Yeah, exactly. And like we could do little
thousands of us.
Yeah, it would
one day.
Incredible. One day you've got to have goals, haven't we?
Absolutely.
And that's our goal.
Hannah, we're coming towards the end, and we always ask our guests a couple of questions as we sort of wrap things up. So what I want to know is what you love about what Empower Her and what we are doing, and what is your absolute love about your passion, why you're doing this, why did you get involved and help develop this?
I think if we track the numbers through, I bet we're making change to prove it through. And I think that's the point. For me, it's giving women a platform and a voice, and we're making it's for a positive outcome. And I think that's the thing for me. It's always do things so you get a really nice positive outcome. And this is absolutely one of those. So I think we're all doing that. We all want a positive outcome out of this for women, and ultimately equality is where we're landing and want to land. And I bet if we tracked all the numbers through, I know we do gender pay gap reporting every year, but I bet there's been continued progress.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at other data, and statistics, especially within sort of the MLG corporation.
And even like promotions, like we do look at that a little bit and go, how many women have been promoted as, who have been part of our Empower Her programme. And actually we've seen it. Every quarter when we run a session, we're congratulating a group of people in the room, say, well done on your promotion. So I think that's what you want to see, isn't it? What I don't want to do is we get to a session and go, we've had no promotions, which is a shame, because then you think, do we not make any progress that quarter? But we're making progress all the time.
And that's so inspiring for the other women in the room to be like, they've done it, I can do that too. Like there's that just complete sort of knock-on effect.
Yeah, I agree.
Amazing. Okay. So the last question, Hannah, which I know you've listened to some of our podcasts.
Yeah.
I want to know who you would love to see sitting in that chair that we can have a chat to about women in a state agency.
Oh, good question. Well, I'd obviously love you to have more LRG people in the chair, obviously, because that would be great. But do you know what I think? I think you've brought a lot of people from the property industry into these chairs. Sometimes I think bring someone from outside the property industry.
Interesting.
Because I think it's something we were talking about. Like a lot of people stay within the industry with friends groups and who they network with. And actually, I think sometimes getting a viewpoint from someone that's not been in it can challenge ways of thinking sometimes. So I think someone that's not an engineer, I don't have a name for you, but I think someone outside the industry would be
Any particular subject matter that you'd like us to look into?
No, I think just if you brought someone in from a big business, well-known name, but just not our industry, be interesting.
Okay. Challenge set.
Challenge set.
Fantastic. Hannah, thank you so much for coming today. Really appreciate your time and having a chat, and all about Empower Her and what LRG are doing. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.